Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to English Corner. In our last two videos on common mistakes in academic writing, we discussed content-related mistakes and structure-related mistakes. And in this video, we'll talk about style-related mistakes. Style refers to the overall look of the essay, overall presentation of the ideas or items. So how you present the ideas or items, it has a lot to do with the beautification of the writing, beautification of the presentation of your essay. How beautifully and how attractively the items or the answer is presented. Style of writing has a lot to do with awareness of the readers. When we write or when we write or we speak for the listeners or the readers. And based on the level, based on the relationship between the readers and the writers, your language, your presentation becomes different. So when we write, we have to be very aware of the readers. For example, in academic English or in academic writing, we write for our teachers who already know a lot about the topic. That is why it has to be very formal. Depending on these things, the style of your writing becomes different, which is called reader awareness in writing. Now we'll look at different types of style-related mistakes that we find commonly in the writings of our students. The first style-related mistake that students commit is indeed a simple and silly one. We find that at the beginning of any answer, students write answer to the question number, etc. And we find that there is a fold in the answer script, and the question number, say it's question number 4, and the question number 4 is behind the fold. And sometimes the students become very busy with writing answer to the question number, this phrase, and they forget to write down the number itself. So what happens? It disturbs and distracts the examiner. It has an effect, negative impact on the scoring. If you want to write the whole phrase answer to the question number 4, you have to be very careful that the whole phrase is visible, and you should start writing from the beginning of the page, from the left side of the page, not from the middle of the page, because you start at the middle and then the question number remains hidden behind the fold. I have a suggestion for you that don't go for answer to the question number 4 phrase like this. The answer script is meant for writing answer, not question. So we know that you are writing answer. So you just write question number, and that is all. Why should you waste some time in writing, say, answer to the question number? You have 10 questions and 10 times you have to write answer to the question number, and it does not have any effect on the score. So you should just write down question number 4. That's it. The second mistake, style-related mistake that we find the students commit, that they use informal words or phrases or language in their writing. Academic English is, of course, very formal, and you are writing for somebody with whom you have a very formal relation, that is teacher, student. So that is why you should use formal language. Okay, let me give you an example. Some students write, okay guys, now I will discuss, etc., etc. So okay guys, these phrases, of course, are very informal, and you should not mix formal and informal languages in writing your answer. The third style-related mistake is the mixing up of American and British Englishes. We know that regarding spelling and some grammatical structures, American and British Englishes differ. You should use only one of them. Sometimes you find that the handwriting of the students is very large or very small. If the font size of your writing is too large or too small, of course it destroys the beauty of the writing. So it should not be too large or it should not be too small. What you should do as a standard practice, in one page you should have 18 lines, okay? 15 to 18 lines in each page. And of course you should not give too much space in between lines, in between words. Another important style-related mistake is that sometimes you cannot read what the students have written. The students' writings are illegible, not readable. If the teachers cannot read what you have written, then what is the use of writing this? You may write less, but it should be legible, it should be readable, it should be clear, so that the teachers can read it and can understand what you have tried to write. Normally it happens at the end of the exam, when you have many questions to write down, but you have less time than necessary, and you write too fast, and your writing becomes illegible. So what you should do, you should write less, you should write what you are asked only. The next style related mistake is sometimes you find that you use quotations or you use paraphrasing, but you do not find the reference or the source of quotation. If you use any quotation, you should cite the source of that quotation. Another silly mistake that students do in their writing is that they use too many color pens or too many different types of color pens. See, in the same answer, you use a yellow, a red, a green. What you should do, you should use a black pen, and at best you can use one different color, say a green one. Never use a red one, of course. I suggest that you should not use yellow one too. And of course, in the same answer, you should not use too many types of color pens. The last but not the least style-related mistake is the abnormal use of capitalization, inverted commas, and underlining. Capitalization has got its own rules, so you should follow them. For example, proper noun is always capitalized. If you want to quote something, you can use double comma quotation mark or single comma quotation mark, and also you can underline them. Of course, you should not use inverted comma and italicization or say underlining with the same text. So you should be very careful of using capitalization, inverted commas, and underlining the text. I hope that this video gives you some ideas about the mistakes, style-related mistakes that you commit, and you should be careful of them, and I'm sure that you can avoid most of them. Thank you very much for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.